Hello, welcome to the LAFC way. My name is Karl Harpur. I am an Irishman living in Los Angeles. If you had told me this time last year that I would be sitting here talking to the camera on my laptop about LAFC, I would have thought you were fucking mental. But here I am. I have become a huge LAFC fan since June 29th, 2025. We played at home at BMO Stadium against Vancouver Whitecaps. It was Olivier Giroud's last game. Uh, as I'll tell you how clueless I was. I didn't even know Olivier Giroud played for LAFC. That's how much interest I had in MLS at the time, and it was half time when I realized that Hugo Lloris was actually in goals. I was like, "Holy shit, is that Hugo Lloris? Jesus Christ!" A friend of mine brought me along, kind of forced me along, and I was like, "All right, listen, I'll go." I kind of told him the story. I had gone to a Galaxy game when I first arrived over. So, 12 and a half years ago. I went out to, it was like the Home Depot Stadium at the time. And I, you know, it should have been the beginning of me supporting Galaxy, all right? For a myriad of reasons. Well, two, not a myriad, two reasons. David Beckham had played for them, okay? Now, I'm a big Manchester United fan. I've been supporting them since I was like fucking 3 years of age. And obviously, David Beckham going over there when he did was a big fucking surprise and shock. That still didn't get me kind of watching MLS, right? You'd kind of keep an eye on it to see how perhaps Galaxy were doing, right? But at the time I went, Robbie Keane was captain. Robbie Keane being the captain of Ireland and Ireland's greatest goal scorer. So, there was a couple of ingredients in there that should have made me want to follow Galaxy. So I went to the game and I watched it. I think it was against Chivas because I remember the away support was way better than the home support. And actually, David Beckham was there that day and he walked right behind me where I was sitting. And I didn't go over and say hello, and I'm kind of raging I didn't do that, but however. So, yeah, went to that game and left it. My buddy Tristan McManus brought me. He was in a show called Dancing with the Stars at the time, and he got a couple of tickets. So we said, fuck it, let's go. And I just left that day kind of feeling, I couldn't be arsed. It was also, I was living in Hollywood at the time, and it was a pain in the arse to get out there. I mean, you had to drive, essentially. And I like having a couple of pints watching a match, before the game, during the game, halftime. So I was like, nah, MLS is not for me. Fuck that shit. And I continued on my Manchester United's journey as an Irishman living in Los Angeles, getting up at stupid o'clock in the morning at the weekends to watch them on my own, on my couch, eating my bowl of cereal, and that was fine. So then I I was at a party at a hotel in West Hollywood, and I met a guy who was an LAFC. He was a Manchester United fan, but he's also an LAFC fan, and he's an LAFC ticket holder. And he invited me to a game, and I was like, "All right, okay, I'll go along. Shoot me a text when there's a game coming up." And lo and behold, I think it was like 2 weeks later, I get a text from Dan, and he goes, "Do you want to come to the game?" I actually think it was a midweek game, like on a Wednesday, and I wasn't even arsed, to be honest with you. After I got that text, I was like, oh god, I'm gonna have to fucking drive there. I'm trying to find parking, classic fucking LA story. So I didn't reply to him straight away. But I did. What I did do was I looked up. I looked up parking, where I could park. Of course, at the stadium, it's like $60 to park at the stadium. Now, don't get me started on attending events in LA, and the fucking price of parking that they make you pay. It's like it's a fucking disgrace. I went to Billy Joel. They charged $80. I brought my daughter to Angel City a couple of times. Well, only once when we parked, and that was $50. That was actually nearly as much as the two tickets, the price of the two tickets. So, and it's such a classic, LA thing of you get invited somewhere. Well, where can I park? It's really a thing over here. Um, so anyway, I found out. Long story short, I found out I could get the metro from Universal City with one changeover and get to the stadium. Said, okay, I'll give that a go, and that turned out absolute game changer. I was like, all right, I can get to the stadium for $1.75. Okay, fantastic. So went to the game, and a couple of pints beforehand, absolutely fantastic. Walked out because we were in the field club. He's got posh seats. So the other thing I could not believe was the teams come out through the bar. They walk past the bar. I'm like standing there going, what the fuck is going on? Did an Irishman design the stadium? So we watch the players walk out, and then I walk out into where we're going to be sitting. And that was my first experience of seeing the North End. And I was like, holy fucking shit. That's incredible. So we sat in our seats, and Dan is kind of telling me a bit about the 32-52. And from the first whistle to halftime, they didn't stop fucking singing. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like proper football. So anyway, the game played out. We lost 1-0. But here's the thing. This is the thing that I knew it was different to when I'd gone to see Galaxy, because football isn't about it's not about winning or losing, although obviously we all love to win, all right? And that is the aim of the whole fucking thing. But football is it's like a relationship, It's about a feeling. And when you get that feeling, you're onto a good thing. And I got that feeling that day when I walked to my seat, and the game kicked off, then the 32-52 got going. I was like, this is not what I was expecting. This is fucking brilliant. And I subsequently went to more games after that. I went on my own. I didn't even. The next game I think I went to. I just bought a ticket, and I went by myself, and I sat on the east side, at the front of the upper tier, because I was thinking, oh, maybe I just enjoyed that game and that one time experience. But again, got the train there, lads. If you're not getting the train to the stadium and you're paying $60, here's the thing: you could, if you want your car or whatever, drive to what do they call, the park and ride, and get the train from there. A few stops back, and then Bob's your uncle's live-in lover. Anyway, long story short, I feel like I am kind of rambling. I did not. I think from that game on against Vancouver, June 29th, 2025, I think I only missed 2 home games for the rest of the season, and I was like fucking all in. And it kind of blew my mind, because this whole thing, the LAFC way, I originally had called it MLS's shit. And I like bought the domain and everything, mlsshit.com. And I think I might have posted a couple of things with that on it, but I just changed it. I thought, the LAFC way is a little bit more PG and all that. Although I do curse a lot. So anyway, but I kind of want to spread the love about MLS, and I talked to my mates back in Ireland about it, and my brothers, and they, they're now kind of keeping an eye on LAFC results, and it'll come up in conversation and all that. And I guess the whole thing about MLS and why we think it's shit. And when I say we, I'm talking about, because obviously I don't anymore, but the we being my mates back in Ireland, is that there's a stigma attached to it, right? And it goes back to the days of fucking Alexi Lalas and Diana Ross missing that penalty in the opening ceremony of USA '94, playing in NFL stadiums, having commentators who don't have a fucking clue what they're commentating on, and using NFL and baseball fucking terms to describe what's happening out on the pitch. That's the perception of MLS back in Ireland, and more than likely the UK and even probably in the rest of Europe. But it is not that. And yes, the level is not of the standard of Premier League by any stretch of the imagination. But what you have to realise is you cannot compare it to the Premier League. It's like apples and oranges. The Premier League has essentially unlimited money, and players get paid, huge amounts. And MLS doesn't have that. For those of you that don't know anything about MLS, and I'm still trying to figure out the ins and outs of how players are signed and all the rest of it, you can have 3 players called DPs. What does DP stand for? Designated player. So there's a salary cap for your entire squad, and I can't remember, I have it written down somewhere. So let's say it's like 6 million, right? So you can only basically have a squad that costs 6 million in wages. I hope I'm getting this right. But then you can have 3 players that you can pay outside of that 6 million. So that's how we at LAFC have Son at the moment. That's how Vancouver have Thomas Muller. That's how Inter Miami have Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. James Rodriguez has just signed for Minnesota. And who else is there? There's more. All right, and there's even some DPs like that. I mean, I don't even know. Like Denny Bawanga, who I have now grown to absolutely fucking love. I had no idea who he was, but he's DP. He came over to LAFC from San Etienne, and he is a DP for LAFC, and he's just signed a new contract. Excellent. Pay that man whatever he wants. He deserves everything. So, so that's why the level is what it is, because we cannot pay those, the big bucks, as it were. And once you accept that, okay, I'm going to this match. I am not watching Premier League football. I'm not watching La Liga. I'm watching MLS. It's like, oh, all right, yeah, this is fucking great. This is brilliant. The fans are amazing. The facilities, like the stadiums are, again, I was blown away by BMO. BMO is a fucking beautiful stadium. I think it holds 22,000. So it's not huge, but it's perfect for MLS. And I haven't been to any away games, but I plan on going down to San Diego this year and maybe somewhere else if my wife lets me. But the stadiums, and because I watch it on Apple TV, so MLS is on Apple TV, and the majority of the stadiums are absolutely phenomenal. And again, it's just I didn't know that. Again, my perception was they're playing with the fucking NFL markings on the pitch and all that. So MLS is shit is something that I do not say anymore. I do not think anymore, and I will fight anybody who says it. I'm a huge advocate of it. And something else, like it kind of keeps surprising me. So last Saturday was the opening game of this season of 2026, and lo and behold, we're playing Inter Miami, and MLS as an organization decided to move this game from BMO Stadium, 22,000 seater, literally across the road to the Coliseum here in Los Angeles, which is by USC, the university. And the Coliseum holds, I don't know, 80 or 90,000 people. And I was like, is that a good idea? First of all, I was like, we're going to miss like the energy of the 32-52, the intimacy, the fans were right there, right by the pitch, and moving it to like an 80 or 90,000 seater, and the Coliseum is just like this big bowl. There's no roof. There's a fucking running track around it, and there was also the worry as LAFC fans that there would be just like a sea of pink jerseys because Messi's coming into town. And like I see it, often, walking around LA or been at the park with my kids, and you will see, kids and, adults or whatever walking around Inter Miami jerseys, number 10 Messi on the back. And actually two of my friends who live in Los Angeles, shout out to Valet and Paris, both live in Los Angeles, both football fans, and they fucking support Inter Miami. Anyway, I'm working on that. So we were afraid as a fan base, well, I certainly was, I'm not going to speak for the entire fan base, that we were just going to, it was going to be like 50-50, black and gold LAFC, pink for Inter Miami. And when I say Inter Miami, Messi. Because people, this is the thing nowadays, people support players before they support the club. It blows my fucking mind. But anyhow, I walked into that stadium last Saturday and it was fucking incredible. It was, of course, there were Miami jerseys, okay? Completely expected. What I didn't expect was that 85% of that stadium was black and gold, and it was LAFC. And the worries about moving to like an 80,000, I'll have to look up what the capacity is. Let's say it's 85,000. The worries I had of that, of us being able to fill it, holy shit. There was over 75,500 people in the stadium. It was incredible. The 32-52 were there. They, of course, did not stop singing and chanting for the entire game. I felt, though, that they should have been, I know what they were doing. They, in BMO, they're behind one of the goals, right? And that's fine because they're right up to the goal. Like, you can touch the net from the front of the north end. Here, there's a giant running track. I feel they should have put them on the side somewhere, but that's just my opinion. So yeah, MLS continues to surprise me. If you're watching this and you're Irish or you're English or wherever you're from, if you're outside of the United States and you're a Premier League fan, if you're a football fan, watch MLS and watch it. Don't watch it you know, from the eyes of Premier League, just watch it as it being MLS. The standard is lower. Once you accept that, you are actually going to enjoy watching it a lot more than you think it is. Okay, I think I'm gonna wrap up on that. I kind of felt, was I ranting a bit? Well, isn't that what all this is about? Is there anything else I wanted to kind of talk about? No. Well, there is, but I'm not going to do it all here. So, anyway, this is the LAFC way. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter or X. And if you see me at a game, come on up and say hello. And you can also listen to my podcast, The LAFC Way, on Spotify. Yeah, that's me. Let's go black and gold.